talk a little bit about survival knives. What makes a good survival knife? What is a survival knife? Basically, a survival knife is a knife that you have that you need to survive with in case of an emergency, or you get stranded, lost, whatever, and you have to survive. It's the tool that you have, and most of the time all of us have a knife. But what makes a good survival knife? There's a lot of survival knives out there on the market. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of knives out there. Good, great knife makers, bad knife makers, and all that stuff. But there's a few things that you need to consider when getting a survival knife and purchasing a survival knife. And I get asked sometimes, well, what's the best survival knife to have? Well, that's basically the short and quick answer is any knife that you have in that survival situation. That's going to be the best knife that you have, because let's face it, if you don't have your big survival knife or something, you only have a small pocket knife, well, that's all you have at the time. That's going to have to work for your survival situation. But there are some things that we can talk about. What makes a good knife and what doesn't make a good knife. The fact of the matter is, what you need to do is you do your research. Like I said, there's hundreds of knives and knife makers out there. Do your research and purchase the best knife that you can for your money. If you have the money to spend on a $300 knife and you think that's the best knife for you, then buy it. If you don't have a lot of money, you can go for something like this Frost Mora right here, and people swear by those. People like Cody Lundeen, Ray Mears. That's all they use is basically a Frost Mora. Those are great knives. They can be had for under $15 generally, and sometimes cheaper than that. But most of us, as a kid, we started out with something like one of these knives right here, a hollow-handled Rambo type knife. Because when I was a kid, Rambo was the big thing, and he had a hollow-handled knife, and that was the best knife around. So we all wanted one as a kid. This is a Buckmaster knockoff knife here, and it's a hollow-handled knife. The problem with the hollow-handled knives is the blade does not extend all the way through, or the handle. It stops generally right there, and there's a nut, or it's either welded in there. These knives tend to break a lot over time. So hollow-handled knives are generally not the type of knife you want for your survival knife. Another hollow-handled knife that I've had for many, many years, this smaller one right here, I don't even know who it's made by, but I think it was a Gerber knockoff. It might be a Gerber, actually. And I've had it since, that was probably my first real survival type knife, and I've used it for lots of stuff throughout the years, and it's worked fine. However, it's not going to do near the things that a larger blade would do. And then we move on down here. We have knives like the K-Bar. The K-Bar right here has been an excellent knife in my collection, had for many, many years as well. I've used it a lot, and I would rely on that as well. The thing with the K-Bars is they have what's called a rat tail tang knife. Ideally, what you want is a full tang knife. That means the blade, as in this Rat Cutlery RC3 right here, the blade the knife itself is all one piece. The handle extends throughout. So it's all one piece. That's ultimately what type of a survival knife that you want. Something that's a full tang knife. These K-Bars right here have what's called a rat-tailed tang, which means it has a smaller, they're still full tang, but it's small. The tang goes up, it's skinny, it's not a full bladed or full thickness like something like that. Still a great knife, however, you can break them due to that reason. It's going to be harder to break, a knife, one of these type knives over here, one of these bigger bladed knives, because they're full tang knives, and they're a lot stronger. So some people may ask, well, what size is the best type of survival knife? You hear everything from a 3-inch is the best size, and some people may say a 12-inch is the best size. There again, it depends on what you need it for. Generally, for the most part, I think that a good 4 to 7-inch blade knife is probably about ideal and perfect in just about any survival situation. Now, just about. Personally, I like the larger blade knives like this Buck Hoodlum here. It has a 10-inch blade. Do I carry it all the time? No, I don't. I've carried this K-Bar down here, like I said, for many, many years, and it only has a 5-inch blade. So I've carried it, a lot as well. So there again, it depends on how much money you have and what you want to spend and your own personal preferences. Like I said before, I can't tell you what the best knife is because my best survival knife may not be your best survival knife. There are lots of knives out there. So get the best knife you can afford, do your research, and practice with it. Don't just buy a knife and never use it. You need to get out and you need to know how it feels in your hand. You need to use it. And the more you use it, the more you feel comfortable with it, and the more you're going to be able to rely on it and know that it will work for you in a survival situation. If you have the money, go out and buy one of these cheapo hollow handled knives and beat on it. And then and see how well that holds up to something, like a full tang knife, like one of these, like this Rat Cutlery RC5 here, or now SE knives, or this buck hoodlum. You see how that hollow handled knife holds up to those. Now there are talk about hollow handled knives one more time here. There are some great hollow handled knives out there, mainly made by Chris Reeves. It's a custom knife. You're going to pay more for it, but he has an excellent hollow handled knife that will hold up, and it should stand the test of time for you. So that's an option for you if you want a custom knife and you got the money to spend and you want a hollow handled knife. So with that being said, if y'all have any more questions or anything, just feel free to let me know. PM me, comment, and let me know what your favorite survival knife is. And until then, y'all take care, and I'll see you on another video. Thanks.